And we're back here once again with another episode of the MSK show. And this is going to be episode 251. So I hope you guys had a great day and I hope you guys have a great weekend that is ahead of you. And in this episode of the MSK show, just in a little bit, after we have our usual guy bro conversation that you guys all know and love, we are going to be going over a article that actually came out from The Wrap. They're a news media outlet, very similar to a Variety, a Hollywood Reporter, a Deadline, Screen Rant, IndieWire, whoever you get your news from as far as like movies, TV, anime, streaming, and all that. And they had a few anonymous sources talk to them about basically the budget of James Gunn's Superman movie that got revealed actually, and the other kind of implications this movie actually has going into it as far as like the narratives and the good and bad outcomes that could basically happen given James Gunn's Superman movies theatrical, box office for this movie worldwide. Like, what is going to be the end goal? Is like, okay, if it does very well, this, and this happens. Well, if it does bad, well, this, and that happens, But we'll get into that, much later because if you guys were basically working your usual 9 to 5 Thursday this week, which was fucking hell. We are in June now. Holy shit. So
Yes.
I want you guys to mark this down, okay? So June 5th, 2025, we basically had Elon Musk and Donald Trump literally trash talking each other. Donald Trump posting from his Truth Social media app. And that's pretty much the only reason why anyone cares about Truth Social, if we're being honest here, is because Trump vehemently did not like what Twitter was, even though he had some of the most viewed tweets ever in the platform back in the day when they didn't actually count your views. You could just see like the impressions and shit. So basically, like, him and Elon Musk were getting into it, and it made the whole world just go, pause. Let's just watch them shit talk each other. It's actually incredible if you guys actually were witnessing it live. I literally saw the tweet happen live when he was talking about the whole Epstein Island fucking list and all that other stuff. But yeah, we'll talk about that stuff. And it's crazy. I was thinking about just doing a video out of it on the show, but I was like, it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just more like that's better suited for a show where my mind is ready and geared towards doing it. Because this one's kind of just based off like Superman. But Lunchbox Warren is here. How's your week going, man?
Week is going good. I got some more artwork done, and I'm getting prepped up for the episode 2 of my draw stream on Sunday with special guest Miss Sparkles. So that'll be going off at 8 o'clock on Sunday. I got a thumbnail done. Made my first thumbnail ever, so that's fun. Already got it scheduled, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun to do that. I was the Elon and Trump breakup was really one of the it was pretty wild. The Elon was felt very scorned and hurt. Like someone needs to hug Elon or remind him how much money he has.
It's actually really interesting to see all of this unfold. So I'm not going to make this an actual video. We're just going to go straight into it with Donald Trump versus Elon Musk, and then we'll just get into the Superman topic later on, which is just the only thing as set topic for the show. So, okay. So Trump wants to pass this bill called the Big Beautiful Bill, the BBB, not a BBL, which you guys like in girls these days. They want to pass this bill called the Big Beautiful Bill. Now, this bill, for the narrative that it has going into it before it's passed, is that it's the bill that is supposed to be the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and those are the two main driving factors of it that they told the average person. Because for those of you guys who don't know this, though, the reason why your boss typically doesn't keep you more time than they actually kind of maybe want to or not want to is because overtime, no matter what job you have, is insanely expensive. There's like jobs do not actually like paying overtime, despite people saying, oh, yeah, I'm getting all this overtime. Yeah, your boss doesn't enjoy paying that at all. And if they say they do, they're lying out their ass, right? So then no tax on tips would be like if you tipped your bartender like $50, well, they wouldn't have to basically have anything taxed on that. That would just be essentially like a free $50 for them, barring whatever the rules of the tips are in each bar.
Yeah, and like the overtime tax rules, like there will be no taxes on the overtime, but your regular scheduled time will still get taxed. So if you work, if it's like if it's time and a half, so you make $20 an hour during overtime, you make 30. Well, they're only going to tax. They're only going to not tax the $10 add-on to the 20. They're not going. It's not going to be a whole on no tax on all of it. But at the same time, though, I mean, there's other stuff in the bill too to open up some energy sector stuff, and there's some tax breaks that are ending. That if they don't pass this, those will end, and a lot of taxes will go up. But at the same time, it also adds $5 trillion to our national deficit. So, but I don't know what the philosophy is. I haven't looked up much on this big, beautiful bill. The name alone is kind of dumb, but I haven't looked up much on it. But it does. It's the big fight right now, and yeah, I don't know. Elon's acting crazy, if you ask me. I just he's like instantly just freaking out and just self-destructing all the way out the door too, and saying all sorts of crazy shit. And yeah,
because I wanted to do this for the show. I just want to just because people don't understand these kind of bills. Literally, you can. The reason why the average person doesn't know what's passing them because no one wants to read that shit. I'm just going to say it right now. No one wants to read that shit.
Thousands of pages of legal fucking gobbledygook.
Yeah, section this, section A to F, all that bullshit. And this is the main thing in politics. A lot of people just tend to forget. The reason why certain things can and cannot get passed is because when you negotiate something, because it's mostly a big negotiating party, essentially, if you really look at it when it comes to like getting what each of them want out of a bill, it's a give and take. You can only give so much and you can only take so much. It's never been this system where one party gets everything they want. That's never happened ever. It's never happened unless I'm completely wrong, which fair.
Well, if you have a super majority where one party is in control of the House and Senate enough where the Republic or the other party cannot block it, but that's very rare, and you don't really see either party really take advantage of it. Every president has kind of, well, not every president, but there have been presidents with super majorities, but unless you get that super majority, now you have to deal with the other party. So there's always going to be compromises. There's a difference between the bill you want and the bill that you can pass.
Yeah, there always has to be a compromise. You're not gonna. I could write a bill up right now for the show, and I'll be like, "Hey, I want these 5 things to be focused on." Then if I give it to you, Cyfax, let's say Gray, Laps, and I'll be like, "Hey, no, we want to focus on this." Then I have to go, "Okay, you guys want this, I want this. Let's try and meet in the middle." That's what it should always be. It should always be a, hey, we're trying to just meet in the middle, but doesn't end up happening that way because ego, people have other hidden agendas behind why they want this specific thing passed versus this thing. And because I think like Eric July's big thing is they keep kind of kicking the can down the road for as far as like the actual deficit of the USA.
Yeah.
Our country is really, really bad. Like when is it ever going to get addressed? I'm just going to be honest here. I don't think it ever really is, honestly. Like this bill, from what I've seen just up front from it, is mostly like a, hey, this is what was that thing? There's a saying back in the day, best of both worlds kind of thing.
Yeah, best of both worlds.
Or it's goodness gracious, it's a devil saying, fucking hell, dance with the devil kind of things. I'm not saying this bill's like selling your soul, but the big thing with this kind of stuff is like, with Elon Musk, it's like, okay, I can understand why people say he kind of flies off the hinges constantly, And keep in mind, the only reason why we can kind of know that is because you don't get to be as successful as he is by not being a lunatic in some way, like an absolute crazy person.
Well, yeah, you have to think really. You got to be kind of weird, narcissistic to get where he's at.
Yeah, same with the other person. Same thing with Donald Trump. You don't get to be where he is, being some sort of like, yeah, I'm gonna just go talk to this girl. I'm gonna spit some wrist to her. Yeah, it's not happening. Like,
No,
there's a reason why they're at where they're at, and we're kind of like two dudes
yeah.
talking about them, obviously. But the thing with I think after today, Trump ended up coming out looking better because he basically I think he had a call with someone and they asked him about Elon Musk, even though he was talking about the economy, gas prices, and all that stuff. And he basically went, I'm just not talking to him right now.
Yeah, he took it. He kind of high roaded it. He's essentially like, listen, I got a whole bunch of other crap going on that's way more important. I'm not going to talk about Elon. And he can. I hope he does well. And then he just kind of just shook himself off of it and he's moved on, which is the right thing to do because the last thing you want to do is to keep having some kind of petty fight with Elon Musk when Russia and Ukraine are about this close to pushing us into World War III. So we need to be very careful, spending too much time arguing with some eccentric billionaire in Texas.
Because essentially the way people are going to look at it is like, to be fair to Elon Musk, and he's filthy rich for many different reasons, and he's super successful. When the president is arguing with someone like him, people know Elon Musk is a billionaire. People know he's a very important person. But at the end of the day, it is the president arguing with a citizen. There's, I'm not trying to say he's above arguing with people like us, but there's like a level to that kind of thing. Well, it's like a king arguing with a gesture. That doesn't happen.
And it's not important when you with the scope of all the dangerous stuff going on right now. It's like you should be having conversations with Putin and Zelensky trying to avert World War III. Don't be having arguments with Elon over your bill or Elon's lack of understanding political structure, or just the fact that the government is so entrenched with corruption that you really can't do anything about it. So you just need to kind of accept it and move on. I mean, there's a lot of things you could tell Elon.
Yeah, and the other thing to add to your point is I understand both their point of views. I really do. Because with Elon, he was embraced by the Republican Party. Was not really a Republican years ago. He's very on their side, for being fully honest here. Like, he mostly didn't talk about politics from what I know, but when he did chime in on it, it was pretty Democrat.
Yeah,
and people factor in most of the biggest billionaires you can think of from the everyday average stuff you use are Democrats. Bill Gates, the guy that owns Starbucks, Jeff Bezos, all those people, any billionaire you can think of that stuff you use in your everyday life are endorsed by Democrats. They just are.
Well, the only reason why Elon is with Trump right now is because when Elon bought Twitter, the left turned on him and ostracized him and started calling him the Nazi and all that shit. So they essentially just pushed Elon into Donald Trump's arms. But this was only going to last for so long because they're too big of egos. Eventually, it was going to clash and it was going to end up bad. And hopefully, it just quiets down and they're done because they're still waiting on to listen to see what's going to happen with Russia's retaliation after the Ukrainian airport Russian airfield bombing. It's like there's a lot of shit going on right now, and I hope he just
a piece of garbage. That's crazy. That guy is trash.
Well, yeah, it's that one's getting close to like popping off. Like, if his response is big enough, this war could be over and we're talking about Russia owning all Ukraine. Or like it's kind of at a really tense point right now. And there's also the Iranians had claimed to have 11 fully operational nukes. So then that's a dangerous game if they are truly nuke capable, and they're in high tensions with Israel right now. There's just a lot of crap going on. It's a scary world out there, so that's why I love comic books.
Yeah, and in comic books, they're always having intergalactic wars,
but somehow I just feel safe in my chair waiting it.
Oh, the other thing to bring up is I understand a few other of Elon Musk's points. Not to shit on Trump, but like he does Doge, which is supposed to like uncover a bunch of fraudulent government waste that they're wasting millions to $1 billion on. Then he would have wanted these things cut from these programs. And keep in mind, guys, when Elon Musk was doing this whole Doge thing, and it was on a time limit anyway, I don't get why people keep forgetting stuff. This is why people aren't paying attention when this stuff is actually going on. It was always going to have a time limit on it because he's guys, Elon Musk is a billionaire. He can't be working for the government as a billionaire. It was always going to be some sort of like contractor job, obviously.
Yeah.
Like what a massive conflict of interest that would be. One of the richest man in the entire country working for the government. That would be just, you can't have that. It's just not how that would work, obviously, due to favoritism amongst like what he can have relegated with his friendship with Trump and that administration versus like other people. And like, you guys know how that works. Conflict of interest will be a bitch in that. But
yeah,
he had a lot of his Teslas that people were actually driving from his car company keyed, burned. That whole massive Tesla burning in Las Vegas that happened about a few months ago. Like, you can't really, it's hard to be mad at the guy when he was straight up putting his neck out to uncover what people had already been thinking their entire lives, only for him to just basically confirm what we were already thinking, that the government is just bad at spending. Keep in mind, the deficit will show you that. But this is just the ultimate nail in the coffin. This guy just showed you why our government is trash completely. And all of his stuff is getting ruined. His personal safeties could get, be in jeopardy and all that shit. And then for the people that are in the administration right now, not like Trump, I think it's the GOP or whatever, or rhinos, or people fucking call them, only for them to be like, yeah, we're not cutting any of that. What? I thought most of these people ran on, cutting back spending, trying to make sure our dollar is worth this much money. Like, fucking hell. Like, I understand his point of view. I do.
It's a really good point. Like the amount of pressure and the amount of vitriol Elon has faced since joining up with Trump to try to fix things and doing stuff with Doge. Now, don't get me wrong. He's made mistakes. Trump has made mistakes in these first 100 days. Elon did really severe cutting to like federal firefighters, to the VA, and it was really corporate type cutting where they cut people without looking at the ramifications of what you're doing. So some of those people are coming back. So there was it wasn't a great rollout, and I think it was getting to him too, because Elon during interviews said that he was worried at times that he thought they were going to kill him because he was really finding a lot of like money being funneled, a lot of corruption, a lot of misappropriated spending, a lot of just really bad practices. So I think it did get to him too. I think all of this was just kind of too much. Tesla stocks are dropping, and I think honestly Trump and Elon will be probably cool pretty quickly, because it's kind of one of those things
some
where
time.
I'll
give it like 6 months to a year, because like people who have close friends, people don't even know this. Me and James have had plenty of big fights in the years, But if things are meant to be, if they're meant to work out, they will. I mean, I would imagine they'll go back to being friends eventually. Because the reason I say eventually is because of that one tweet he put out, that Epstein one. God, man,
that one was rough.
Okay, so them arguing, it probably could have been like a 6-month breakup. That Epstein tweet probably made this breakup last about a good few years.
That might be a bit before you see them at dinner again.
Yeah. So I wanted to show you guys this really quickly. So just the AI overview of it. So the One Big Beautiful Bill is a House-passed bill, also known as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It contains a mix of tax cuts, spending increases, and policy changes. Key provisions include tax relief for individuals and businesses, increased border security funding, and changes to Medicaid and other social safety net programs. Key features, the bill includes significant tax cuts, particularly for small businesses and individuals, with provisions like permanently extending the small business tax deduction from 20% to 23%. It also aims to lower taxes on tips, overtime pay, and Social Security benefits for seniors. Yeah, people don't know, SSI is taxed actually. But then again, do these guys really have SSI from everything we actually know about that shit? Spending increases. The bill allocates additional funding for border security, including increased Border Patrol and ICE personnel. It also includes increased defense spending, Medicaid changes. The bill includes changes to Medicaid, potentially leading to reduced coverage for some individuals due to work requirements and other provisions. Other provisions, the bill also includes changes to child tax credit, increased state and local tax deductions, and other provisions related to international tax law, among other things. So this is just, this is for the average person. If you don't understand what's going on, type that, hit enter, and you will get all this. See what you can do on the internet? It just tells me everything I need to know about this whole bill right here. Now, the criticism of it. Critics, including Elon Musk, have denounced the bill as fiscally irresponsible and a massive spending bill. Political debate. The bill has faced strong opposition from Democrats who argue it is fiscally irresponsible and will disproportionately benefit wealthy individuals and corporations. The nerve of these people to say that is literally irony of irony, lack of self-awareness. Fuck. Because I will say this, though. This is for the average person who's not smart. Okay, so people that are millionaires and billionaires. Do you know, like, recently Mr. Beast put out a tweet where he said that he had to ask his mother to borrow money for his wedding? Now, you would ask, like, Mr. Beast is literally almost a billionaire probably himself in the next 10 years, right? Why would he have to ask his mother for money? A lot of you guys don't know this. Some of these millionaires and billionaires, do you guys think they have, like, actual cash on hand? That's actually the trick there. They do not. All of it is tied up in, you guessed what, their businesses. That's why you see them start businesses, because when it comes to taxes, given how taxes work from like a lot of the states here in the USA, if you are taxed more or less depending on what you do, right? So if you're in a higher tax bracket, people like, let's use Mr. Beast for example as our primary one. What would you guys think? If you get taxed more, if you make more money, that's how it's always worked. You make more money, you get taxed more. So what do millionaires and billionaires do? They create businesses. They give people like us, pleb, worthless cretins, jobs. But it's not because they want to, I would say, do it out of the kindness of their own heart. You could argue they do, but it doesn't matter. Why would they want to give me and you a job? Because that is a way to offset being taxed, actually.
So well, they pay themselves a salary.
Yes.
And then the rest of the money goes back into the business.
Yeah. And then that gets taxed from the business. So you would essentially get taxed less owning a business than actually just having all that money for yourself. So the money that you make at your job, that billionaire is only just really paying you and having you do that job so that they don't just have more of that money gone from what they would already pay you versus if they just like kept it themselves, you know? So at your job, if you make like, I don't know, $1,500. Let's say you make that every 2 weeks. Well, it's much more cheaper to pay you that than actually having that money in something that like, which is just in their bank, right? Then that's why you guys see people, you know how you get cut from your job, not like fired, but they send you home early because what is also taxed on a job? Labor. But labor is a big thing, and labor costs have shot up through the roof for many years. There's sales tax. Guess what, guys? If you own a building, what do you pay? Same thing with your house. Oh, fuck. PT, property tax. You pay
insurance,
property tax.
Medical.
That's if they offer that. And if they do that, that comes out of their pockets. But it's cheaper if
you got to pay L&I too. Business. I mean,
yep. If they have SSI, every business has to have that. They pay you SSI. That's taxed. So, like, people need to understand there's a reason why business owners advocate for taxes in their businesses rather than being like a different form of taxes that would be like when people say things like tax the rich, that doesn't make sense by what I just told you guys, right? So you'd be like, when taxing them offer more money, does it? No, it doesn't. That's why but the average person is dumb as hell, dude. People get this. Taxing them does nothing because they are already using the loopholes established to escape getting taxed, not because of what you probably think. Taxing them more doesn't do anything. That actually hurts you if they tax more. Do you want to know why? Because they'll just cut your hours. Okay, they'll have their manager cut your hours. You work less. Okay, so if they get taxed more, that's more money they lose. That means that's more money you lose. Taxing Bill Gates more doesn't do anything. You want to know why? Because he'll just go and hire a buttfuck Indian that'll do it for half the price you are. I don't know. People keep saying tax the rich doesn't do anything, and people keep talking about fair share. Guys, a person paying 60% of the taxes and you paying 10 is not a fair share. How's that fair? That's why that logic that Democrats, people that are independents, progressives, or libertarians don't understand. You cannot. That's a stupid mindset. Anyone that says tax the wealthy is a retard and is an economic illiterate moron. You know, what does taxing them do more anyway? Isn't like California has what, a 52% tax? Yeah, I already taxed enough. Keep in mind, that doesn't help anything. Keep in mind, taxing them more hasn't helped. So doing it even more is not going to do anything. People are such fucking mouth breathers, man. I hate them. Yeah, like last time on CNN, the dude was like, I want to just tax the rich more. Do what?
Well, and it doesn't matter how much you tax them if you don't allocate the money correctly. Like if you're taxing people to fix roadways and no roadways get fixed, all you're doing is just pocketing the cash. Like, the taxes are supposed to go out to the state and the city and the
locals and all
country,
that stuff. Yeah,
to help protect us and to give us our
what people really need to factor in to when we want to change something is federal government. That's the thing that would need to be changed and swapped up. Like public schools are kind of subsidized by taxpayers. If you really kind of think, well, a lot of things are subsidized by taxpayers, but like public schools subsidized by taxpayers, Medicaid, Medi-Cal, IEHP, all that stuff subsidized by people like me and you. So when people keep saying like tax the rich, that's just actually hurting you because you won't have any money. Well, you have less money than you already have. So
if you want real changes in government, no matter where you live, when elections come around, do not vote for anyone who is looking for re-election. If you don't like the way things are running, no one should be re-elected because they've all failed. So if you want to make a real change, if everyone in the country was just like, I don't care who it is, blue, red, whatever, I'm not voting for you if you were in office prior to this time period. We should have all brand new people through the whole system, and we should send a shockwave to the system that this is not going to cut it anymore because there's just too much money being stolen, too much money being moved around.
The other thing to bring up is like when Democrats are saying things like, well, you just want to give tax benefits to your billionaire friends. Okay, let's just use that logic. Who creates the jobs? You don't get jobs from poor people. Who creates the jobs?
Yeah, how do you get a company to pay $30 an hour factory workers in America? You give them enough tax breaks that they don't feel the pinch of paying the extra higher wages.
Exactly.
I mean, you make it worthwhile to create companies, then those companies create workers, and then once you have more family wage jobs, you get more people buying houses. You're building more construction. Like for a factory coming in and creating 1,000 jobs, that's only directly. It creates thousands of jobs indirectly through support businesses all around that factory. The people that they hire need to buy houses. The people that buy houses need to furnish the houses. They need to buy cars. They need to have stuff fixed. They've got kids. They need resources, food. So it's all a system. It's all connected, and you got to be able to stimulate. Like I have no problem with environmental. I have no problem with a lot of the progressive ideals. I have no problem with Medicaid for all or getting everyone medical insurance. But you have to be able to do it in a way that it happens. You just can't tell me, oh, I'm here for this, and then it never happens. It's like I've been working on medical for everyone for the last 50 years of my career. So you've been failing for 50 years because we're not even close to having it. Like that kind of stuff needs to we need to get real people in there who want to make real changes, who actually want to do the job.
Yeah, and sometimes change is going to be a hard thing. Like I remember a part of the whole Medicaid situation was the fact that you have illegal immigrants on it.
Yeah.
And this is the thing is like, well, people would argue, well, you don't want them getting healthcare. Well, I want people that are Americans first to have it first.
Well, yeah, I don't want to weigh down the system to the point where no one has decent care. We
Yeah.
need to make sure that the Americans have the best care first. We need to get rid of our terrible medical prices. Like, I shouldn't be paying 100 times more expensive for the exact same medication someone in Europe is spent buying. Like, it shouldn't. There's no sense to why I am paying more or we are paying more for diabetes medication than anywhere else on the planet.
Yeah.
I
And
want to see stuff like
mhm.
that fixed. It, People shouldn't go into lifelong debt just because they had a heart attack or they had to have a baby or a C-section or a
Oh yeah.
hysterectomy or any kind of
And
procedure.
the thing with
They
the
should,
illegal immigrants, if they have the lady is pregnant and they have the baby, they will have it in the hospital, hopefully, right?
yeah,
You have a C-section. Who do you guys think pays that? Not them. They're not legal. They haven't, you know,
yeah,
we do. That's what people. It's so crazy how the average person is so emotional. They don't actually understand implications of anything. They just think emotion number one, logic second, and it's like that's just how we got into the
yeah,
spot in general. People thinking with emotional attachments rather than not thinking about the actual logical implications of certain things if you do them right.
yeah.
So
Oh, I was gonna say,
you're fine.
I would tell people, it's like, imagine two people in front of a burning house, and those two people are passionately arguing on over how to fix the house. And as they argue, the house burns down to nothing. And that's kind of where the politicians are at right now.
Yeah.
They argue about why the other side's wrong, and they argue about how to fix things, but they never fix things, and everything just progressively gets worse. And it's kind of like that analogy. It's just like they're just arguing, and then pretty soon the house burns down to nothing, and neither one of them saved or did anything to save anybody. You know?
Yeah, and then uh it's just oof god. Oh. I want people to also understand these systems like Medicaid and Medi-Cal, IHP, all subsidized by taxpayers. Every single one of them.
Oh
All
yeah,
of them. So if there is a way to add in more money to them, like would that even make healthcare go down? Because it's only just for people that theoretically can't afford it. Like I have IHP, but you only technically qualify for those programs based off how much money you make. So people like me and you, or like Miss Sparkles, we would have Medicaid, Medi-Cal, or IHP. And people don't even understand how hard it is to just even get on that, right?
yeah,
So the implications of most of them, and I know most of them, is you have to have a certain amount of money in the bank. They don't really technically they can't legally check that, but you just say you don't have enough money in the bank to get through it. That's just the cheat code, right? Or if you have a job, you actually you can't work. Oh my god, for what I remember, you can't work a certain amount over a limit of hours. You can't work a certain amount of under it. If you don't have a job, the rules are a little bit more looser. You know, that's why in the bill I saw where it's like, okay, things are going to change with it. I think some of that needs a little changing. You know, if you're an
well, yeah, it
able-bodied
does need it
person,
needs to work. Yeah.
yeah, like if you're an able-bodied person, go get a job. Fuck. I mean, people's like, but it's not fulfilling my life. Join the club.
Well, yeah. Welcome to the club on
Welcome
that
to
one.
being a dog. Or fuck off. Like what the hell? Yeah. Like it's one of these things where, like average people don't actually understand the implications that come with these programs. They're not bad programs and they do help and they do kind of pay everything. If you like when I was hurt, I hurt my back really badly long time ago. My HP paid for the whole thing. They did. But, you know, the thing is like I was working, so I didn't feel bad about it happening because I'm like actively contributing to it anyway. But if there's someone who's, illegal, shouldn't be here, and they're getting the benefits of that, yeah, I should be pretty mad. That care should go to a woman that was born here legally, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and the thing is, why should you feel like a bad guy if you said that? That's just crazy. It's actually illogical. You do have to renew the insurance because it's technically insurance. I have to probably renew mine very, very soon. I think I renewed it a few years ago. I renewed mine in 2023, so it's 3 years. So probably 2026, I have to renew my IHP because you have to have health insurance, otherwise it penalizes you for taxes, and that is just you getting bent over and fisting
Yeah,
the end.
I have VA, so I don't I haven't had to worry about it. But if I didn't have VA, I would I would be in a situation where I'd have to try to find a job that had some form of health coverage or get onto some kind of state deal. It's the one thing you gotta be careful of is, I noticed this with also like housing. You get an apartment complex and then they become like HUD housing. All of a sudden, all of the apartment complexes shoot up like $500 to $1,000 a month in price because now they're going to be accepting state funded tenants, so they
Yeah.
shoot up the prices of everything. So you got to be careful, like in medical, like if we had a Medicare for all type kind of deal where everyone was covered under medical, that all the medical companies didn't jack up all their prices because now the government and the taxpayer are fitting the bill. So we got to be careful. How do you do your price controls? How do
Yeah.
you work it so that these prices, you can't force them, but
Yeah.
you need to put in some kind
And
of deals to, yeah,
each city, each town, people don't get this with USA because I know I have like people that watch from like Europe or some shit or like other places around the world. A lot of people go, but in my country, it doesn't work that way. Well, our country works a lot different. So if you're not from here, let's say you're like in Australia, you're probably like, what is USA's health coverage? Well, the way California's works, it's not the same way Washington's work. Not the same way
yeah,
Texas works. You know, to be more intricate with it is that in each different city and town in these places, and that counts for every state, it works differently in each place. Unless you're under a county, which you usually should be, but one county is different from the other county. The other counties are different. One city in this certain area is different from this other part of the city. So, it's not a one size fits all, but yeah, the whole Medicaid, Medicare situation definitely needs some changing. Like people that need it should have it. Not saying they shouldn't, but if you're legally born here, you should have it more than someone that's not born here. That's what I would say. The
well, yeah.
minimum requirement of it should be you are born here and you deserve to have it.
Well,
That's it.
I think every citizen of America should have a state offered health care of some form. I believe in medical care for everybody. I
Yeah.
really do.
You want that
But
you want that Canada way, right?
yeah,
Basically, universal
I
healthcare.
really I think that we spend enough money that there's no reason why there should be anyone that doesn't get the care that they need in America. We're too advanced. We're too rich.
Yeah.
We're way
Despite what that
too
deficit says, we have a lot of money.
well. We have a lot of money, but the money's being funneled to certain areas, and it's not being distributed the way it's supposed to be. It's not being worked the way it's supposed to be. Like in Washington here, compared to Idaho, Washington, if you went to build an apartment complex, it's going to take you a year longer than in Idaho. And it's going to cost you probably 2 to 3 times the amount of money to do it because Washington is just littered with all of this bullshit environmental regulations and other kinds of regulations and committees and stuff that gets in between it. So there's a lot of corruption and sludge that if we just freed up, we would be able to have more than enough money because we shouldn't have such low test scores on our kids when we're spending more per kid than any other country in the world. Like we have the most expensive healthcare on the planet, but yet our health ratings are not the best in the world. So the problem is not spending enough money. The problem is how we're spending the money, and that's a big problem that we have in this country right now. We're at the
because Sparkle said something about housing authority. I don't think we have that here. Is that a form of Section 8 housing? Because I don't know anything about that at all. Do you guys have that out there? I don't know what that is, honestly.
housing authority. I forgot. It's got other names to it, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Is it this? I wonder if it's the same as HUD because that's what we have here in
Maybe that's what we call it here. We call it low income housing.
Yeah,
but
there's differences. Like HUD gets you into apartment complexes and pays the bill. Low income assesses your income value and then charges you based upon that. And so there's different kinds of complexes, and you have it all depends. But Washington is a very interesting state because we're a lot like you guys. Like I
Mhm.
always call us Northern California. Like I really think they should just get rid of
Anything from
Oregon.
California to Washington to what's the one above us? Oregon, or is it no?
Oregon, yeah,
Oregon. Yeah, and then you
yeah.
have Utah. That's a fucking hell.
No, that
Utah's got
whole
Seattle in it. Fuck that. That place is trash.
California, Oregon, and Washington should just become one big state, and we should be called Northern California up
Mhm.
here because it's like we're paying 450 for gas,
Yeah.
where like Montana's paying like 8 or 250, because all our governor just put on a $16.8 billion set of new taxes signed in from everything from cigarettes to fuel to housing to property
That
taxes.
surprisingly, these people still keep getting reelected.
Yeah,
Just blows my mind every day. It's
your guys'
crazy.
minimum wage is what, $20?
Yeah, there are people
Ours is
rallying
just
outside of. There's
16.75 right now.
there's people rallying outside. I'm not shitting you guys because people thought, okay, it can be $8, $10, 12, because it kept going for like 11, 12, 15. At one point, it's 15. And then people were outside of the LA County building or whatever. People do those fucking, they're pretending they're doing stuff by chanting outside with pickup with
Yeah.
signs. So gay. They wanted $40. Not kidding. People are out there chanting for $40 minimum wage. If there's that'll never happen. Actually, it's capped right now. It can't go past 20. At least in our state. If it goes 40, we're all screwed. That is just inflation on levels I don't even want to even comprehend in my brain, honestly. So Big Macs are like $6. So if we had $40 minimum wage, a Big Mac is $15 just by the burger itself. That's not fries, drinks,
Yeah.
any of that
Now,
stuff.
Seattle's like $20 minimum wage.
Yeah.
Here down with the rest of the state, it's like 16, not quite 75, but it's pretty close. And I was telling me when I was young, when I first got out of the army, I was like, I can't wait to get a $15 an hour job and buy a house and all this cool stuff. Now minimum wage is 16.74, and I feel like I make less money now than I did back when it was like 7.50.
It
It's
does feel that way too. Like minimum wage went up, and I was like, okay, this probably isn't that bad. I technically get a raise, and it's like doesn't feel that way. It feels like there was more money in your pocket when you had minimum wage less, but it's like, how does that even happen? Housing authority is where if you are low income, they will pay your rent, but the list has been closed for years. I got lucky years ago to get on a raffle and have my number pulled to be even. Okay.
okay.
Housing authority, and they don't pay your whole rent anymore. I have to pay part of my rent because of how high my rent is at low income apartments. I also live at low income. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So those are essentially an extension of what we have. Like, oh, there's those programs out there. If you're really poor, they'll pay your rent. So that's kind of like a better version of that. I didn't know that even exists. I figured out that would exist at some point, but that was probably when you could do that and it not be like that bad. But things have gotten so expensive that they have to have the people chip in somehow to make it work, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Because remember, if someone's offering that many years ago, it's probably because it wasn't that bad. They probably had benefits of taxes and a bunch of other things that we're probably getting for doing that, you know. But when things, this is what people keep saying, if things go up in price, everybody suffers from that. Imagine a world where things are $40 minimum wage.
Yeah.
A world
Well,
like that I don't even want to fucking think about.
and these support programs is what keeps our country going in bad times. In 2008, when the economy crashed,
Oh, I remember
that
that.
was one
Yeah.
of the worst crashes in United States history. But
Yeah.
people were still living. People still had roofs over their head. People still had food,
Mm-hmm.
EBT, housing, low income. There was benefits out there. Those benefits helped keep people going and helped people. It's just, with any good thing, you've got to watch out for corruption, bloating. We've got to watch out for cost of living. Both California and Washington, they have so many environmental regulations that it's hard to build. So now we have more people than houses, and then housing shoots up through the roof.
Yeah.
And then with all of the extra regulations on to build stuff, makes stuff more expensive. So I think though we'll hit a breaking point every election cycle. California, Oregon, and Washington all start turning more and more red. I think Washington was the only state this last election that didn't turn slightly more red. Like every other state in America turned a little bit towards Trump, even California. Washington was the only one that was like, hold my cappuccino. We're going farther left, you guys.
I thought I thought we were terrible, but hearing stories in Washington, like a friend that I used to have here, we used to work out sometimes. He was like, "Man, this city's terrible. I can't find work." And he's right. It's hard to find work in this specific city. If you want one of those decent warehouse jobs that people always talk about, you're not gonna get that here. Not at least not in this city. So
Yeah.
he moved to your state. Actually, he moved there with his sister, and he said it's. I was like, it's cheaper there. He's like, no, it's probably more expensive if you really think about it. I was like, but that's why we kept saying to people, you could leave here and yeah, it's fine, but it better be like you're getting something better out of it. Because if you move from here and you're basically paying, if not more, the same amount up there where you're at, what did you really gain out of it? But I understand. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think it's just the fact that this city's trash and there's nothing to do here. Just, maybe things are more expensive, but hey, if you have more opportunities based on how the city is, then it's different. But before we get to the topic, this last thing I'll say about Elon Musk and Trump is I find it really weird, Elon, that you said Trump won't release the Epstein files because his name is in them, even though that's true and there's a lot of nuance to that. It's not what people think it's bad. It's actually like he was on a flight log because his plane was in the shop and he used Epstein's and blah, blah, blah. It had nothing to do with like what you guys think. It's nothing like that. It was just general business stuff. But if, let's just say hypothetically what he's saying is true. Let's just say that you let your 5-year-old son around him and you saw them and you just let Trump babysat your 5-year-old son.
Yeah.
Just playing in the Oval Office, having fun with Trump. You essentially let Trump act as some sort of like pseudo grandfather to him, So if you really did think that, or you found that out, why were you allowing your kid to be around this person who apparently went to Epstein's Island?
Yeah.
That's the problem that I have. Okay, disagreeing with Bills is fine. Trash talking, fine. But if you're going to say that, your actions better back up something because he was at the White House. He essentially got a keys to the kingdom to be Trump's new close friend. It was like that random pairing where like you meet a random person, and you guys just hit it off, and it just felt like it was natural. It's like two worlds colliding. It's kind of like when like Tony, not Tony, they actually like each other, actually Tony and Cap, but kind of like the best duo you can think of, like Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan, felt like that. Felt like it was just meant to be. It was meant to happen. Like Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, just felt like it was meant to happen for a buddy cop thing. And people don't understand Trump for the Epstein thing. People actually don't know this. He found out what Epstein was doing, like he was trying to hit on 14-year-old girls, and he kicked him out of the hotel he owns.
Well,
is that someone that seems like a guy who would visit Epstein Islands? A guy who would, his first reaction when seeing that was going, "You need to get out of here forever."
You hit the nail on the head. Like the reason why we don't have the list out right now is because anyone's name who's on that list is instantly going to be implicated into possibly the whole minor prostitution thing. But the facts is not everyone on the list participate on that. Some people just rode his plane.
It's the same thing with the Diddy freakouts. Not every single person even knew what was going on. Like Denzel Washington didn't know what's going on.
Yeah, a lot of people left before that part of the party started. So you just can't release this and destroy 1,000 people's careers when only 200 of them are monsters. Now, if there was they should have, in my opinion, though, they should have done something by now. Like the fact that the Maxine chick or whatever her name is, the one that's in jail that was his helper, not one of her clients have been brought up. That is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But a big problem with the list is you just can't release something and destroy the lives.
That's what I thought was a huge L on the Trump administration when they released when they gave those folders to those Republican influencers and they called it phase 1, like some sort of like MCU thing. I'm like, what the fuck? There's plenty of things to criticize the administration on, especially the Epstein release list. But this is what Terrence K. Williams said, and then we'll go to the topic tonight. So it's, Dear Elon Musk, this is why people want you to apologize. Trump saw you as a true friend. His grandkids called you Uncle Elon. He gave you a key to the White House, and you stayed at his properties, spent countless of days with him and his family. Yes, you are free to disagree with him, but why go public when you have his personal cell phone number? You could have called to talk about it privately. You could have argued with him in private. That's what friends do. You call Trump a friend. Elon, you were loved by him and his family. The world saw you and Trump as brothers. Yeah, that's a very fair assessment of all that stuff. Yeah. But that Epstein tweet that he did, that extended that breakup from 6 months to now a couple years, because that's when you got to be like, okay, bro, you are crashing the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because he was crashing out. And then after that, he tweeted, hey, well, he only won the election because of me. Now, when people disagree with that one, I will say this. Elon did play a big part of him winning. He did. I mean, buying back Twitter, having Twitter compared to what it was before, like, come on. Like,
oh, yeah,
Elon
that was huge.
Yeah, Elon did a very huge thing.
Everything. Yeah.
He pumped millions of dollars into the campaign, actually, But to be fair, to double-edged sword to that, Elon only really backed Trump fully when they tried to kill him. Keep in mind, during the debate with Biden, he didn't switch. It happened with the whole assassination attempt, the reason why he ended up switching. But for him to say, oh, he's the sole reason why he won, yes and no, because I think that was just a byproduct of what people were going to do anyway. Looking back at it now from how the votes went, people were going to do that anyway. Looking hindsight 2020 kind of thing,
Yeah.
Everyone was fed up about what's going on.
He helped, but Donald was a lot of the reason why Donald Trump won,
Like, didn't Trump beat DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Vivek? They didn't even go to the initial debates, remember? He just said, I don't want to go there.
He was massive. He had massive leads on all of them.
Yeah.
And the assassination attempt was a big, huge page turner for him. Mm-hmm. On top of that, they ran a dementia patient against him, and then they just supplanted in kind of like a brain dead, chuckling lady. After that, like with Kamala Harris, Trump was going to win no matter what. Kamala Harris was never going to become president. Even if it was DeSantis against Kamala Harris, he still would have won. So Elon helped, but Elon doesn't need to take the credit for it. Elon was even saying shit like Trump should be impeached and JD Vance should be the president right now, and all sorts of crazy shit on Twitter. Elon is just, it was a bad breakup, and Trump's like kind of trying to take the high road and like, I'm going to move on and see other people. And Elon is like tearing up his apartment, crying, calling up all his friends and telling them all of this made up horrible shit that Trump was like, he's got a small penis. He was yelled at me and he's just a terrible person. And
it's time to get to the meat and potatoes tonight because we have some juicy news. Like, so juicy, my wife's vagina just couldn't even comprehend the levels of juice that's coming out of this story right now.
Yes, I agree.
Wow. Man, what a stupid bitch. Oh, my goodness. But let me make sure I bring it up right now. But, yeah, I mean, what Trump needs to do right now, in my opinion, is just kind of rise above that. Because people always keep saying he's petty. He's always arguing with people back and forth. Just this one time, you said your piece. You said you're not going to talk to him for a while. That's it.
Yeah,
if Elon wants to do it, whatever. That's different. If Elon wants to keep trash talking, let him do it. But I just would say Trump should not do that. It happened. People, it is what it is. You got to just kind of sometimes
just
realize,
working on preventing World War III.
Yeah, because Zelensky is trying to murder us all, honestly. And let's get right into having some fun. Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about, can Warner's DC Studios rise from the ashes with Superman? So there was an article that came out from the news media publication, The Wrap. They are very similar to news media outlets such as Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, Screen Rant, CBR, Comic Book News, all that stuff, right? So I'm going to end up butt fucking myself because I have to let this fire truck go through.
Ah, nice.
Fucking fire truck.
How can you make money with such a stupid idea?
And how can you not make money with such a brilliant idea?
At first, we didn't know what to do with all the money. We tried burying it, shredding it, and burning it. But in the end, we decided to just give it all away.
Come again, sir.
I'm getting back in line.
No, never
What's
get old.
up, Michael?
Michael, how you doing, man? How you doing, dude? You fucking bat rastard. Who's all aboard the DC Studios hype train? Who's here? I'm taking tickets right now.
Choo-choo.
Oof.
Yeah, let's do this.
Ah, fucking hell. I had
James
sex
Gunn
with
we
a girl.
trust.
Get to know Caitlin Clark. Does she got a juicy vagina? God damn. I'm just old, rich, hot, white, good looking, the usual. So let's have some fun. Hey everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about, can Warner's DC Studios rise from the ashes with Superman? So there was this article that came out from the news media outlet called The Wrap. They are very similar to other news media outlets like The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, Variety, Screen Rant, CBR, comicbook.com, Movie Web, IndieWire, and they had this long article about the kind of expectations for James Gunn's Superman movie, because basically ever since the DCEU ended back in 2023 with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, we knew that we would be eventually getting a new DCU cinematic universe, which is basically what James Gunn has mentioned several times. So DC fans have kind of always wanted something very interconnected, and it's going to be very much more interconnected this time around compared to that, I don't know what you want to call that other universe, dog, horse, monkey shit, like boo-boo trash, dog juice, vomit water, horse shit. So this universe is going to have everything tied from movies, TV shows, animation, and video games.
Yeah.
Not too sure if it's going to have its own comic book line yet. That would be pretty fucking cool if it had its own actual comic book line. And that's where the MCU failed at even back when they were in their, prime, actually. So James Gunn's Superman movie, we've talked about it at length at this point, and there's a lot of implications with it too, from what I gather from the article that we're going to cover in just a moment here. So the movie's budget has been revealed per some sources. Now, people said James Gunn debunked it. Well, obviously, guys, he's not going to tell us what the budget is because, reasons, obviously. I would just say this, for the movie to be considered a success, it would probably have to take in about $700 million. That would, to a studio, look very, very impressive. Now, keep in mind, the theater cuts and all that shit would make it way less. But if the movie has a $200 million budget attached to it, keep in mind, The Flash had a similar budget to the movie. The Flash needed $700 million to break even. And that movie took in, well, nothing, because that's a joke. No one watched it.
Yeah.
So looking at it now, the expectations versus reality and versus what actually needs to happen as an outcome for James Gunn's Superman movie is gonna be upon us very, very soon. It comes out July 11th, 2025. So if we're looking at it now, from where what we see is gonna happen, then we're all gonna be happy with the big boy Blue Scout as he's gonna arise from the ashes. So if you guys hadn't seen that on screen, I actually accidentally minimized the tab, so everything went black. And I was like,
I was
"Oh my
wondering here for a
god,
second what was going on there. I was like, oh shit.
everything's black!" So I'll ask Lunchbox Warren, what do you think needs to happen with James Gunn's Superman movie? Because I know a lot of you guys think like Fantastic Four is going to be competition. I don't. Also based off what we know now, it's that test screenings went kind of left. It's kind of mid. It's like that should be expected though. There should be no expectation for the MCU anymore, other than nothing. Your movies are going to be bad until proven otherwise.
The new trailer looked good. The new trailer was the best looking trailer yet of the Fantastic Four. But with Superman, I was reading, what was it? The leaked budget was 233 or something like that. Like it was like 200 million, 233 million, something along those lines, which we were guessing like between 150 to 200 million. So it's kind of where we thought it was going to be. And I agree with you. I think 700 million is the lowest bar that they would accept. I would like to think this movie is going to be just under $1 billion. Like I think it's going to be between 700 million and $1 billion.
Yeah,
I think it's going to do really good in the overseas markets. I think it's going to do good in America.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more lighthearted, and it's very hopeful, and it's kind of one of those things where it has a lot of hype going for it right now. So I see it doing really well. I see it doing better than Fantastic Four overall, but it's just going to be, it all.
Because the thing with Fantastic Four is like, why should we expect anything out of the MCU at this point, guys? Like the test screenings, I'm not saying that they're true, but these are the same similar reactions that we got to Brave New World. They're like, it's not a disaster like everyone is saying, but it's also not good. It's also not great. They just kind of called it just mid. So that's what the kids are saying these days when a movie's just average, they just call it mid.
Yeah.
So reactions have been kind of rather average on it. Yeah, I didn't expect anything else from the MCU after having watched Check's Notes all their movies recently.
Well, and
why would I be surprised?
Thunderbolts is critically and audience-wise acclaimed. A
Yeah,
lot
and I
of
like
people
Thunderbolts.
liked it.
Yeah.
And it didn't do that well box office-wise. So, like, I don't see, like, Fantastic Four, the hype isn't there, and I haven't seen anything that would restore that faith that Marvel's lost.
Because the thing
Marvel's
is,
working
Fantastic
against
Four,
itself.
what people have to factor in is Fantastic Four, despite comic books, it's a known team. People know who they are. But that's not the problem with them. The problem with the Fantastic Four is the previous Fox Fantastic Four movies that came out, not the original one. I'm talking about the ones with Jessica Alba, right?
Those
Chris
Fox
Evans.
ones.
Yes, people have to remember. And you had the one with Michael B. Jordan that's considered like Four Stick, one of the worst things ever made in the history of superhero movies. Yeah, people don't think they're going to do a good job with this one because the other three were bad. People say, but it's a different company, different time. That's not how casuals think, guys. Casuals think it's like a sports team. You know how you get a new sports team each year, but you think in the back of your head, oh, it's just going to be the same thing. Yeah, it doesn't matter if there's new people there. If the narrative and with the outcome of the situation hasn't changed, is it going to be as bad as Rise of the Silver Surfer? No. But it's like, let's not pretend that these Fantastic Four has always had some great movies. Like, no, even the very first one I ever watched, the 2005 one, that one's pretty just, we
haven't had any good Marvel movies either. Like, there should be it's not like, yes, where someone could be like, well, you're right, all the other Fantastic Four movies were garbage, but Marvel's doing really good right now.
Yeah.
Well, no one's going to say that because they're not. So it's really got a lot working against it, especially if Superman is good. Because Superman's going to come out almost 2 weeks after Jurassic Park. So it's going to be it's going to take all the momentum for at least 2 weeks. And if it's really good,
and
fantastic, it might just Like I said, it's possible that it outsells Fantastic Four on its premiere.
I'm not even gonna be surprised if it does. I'm not. Fantastic Four shouldn't even be on DC's radar. That shouldn't
Yeah.
even be a thought in the back of your head. Because the thing with Superman going into it is this is essentially their last shot at doing this kind of thing of building a cinematic universe, a cohesive one that has quality movies. Like because essentially this is the thing that I'm thinking. If Superman turns out good and DC starts putting out good movies consistently, I would say this. Marvel starts looking at their teams and going, hey, we got to change. Because I think the reason why DC, like back in the day when the DCE was kicking off, Marvel didn't care if they existed because people knew that that was going to end up being a dumpster fire anyway. And they were right. They had no real competition with them. That should have been competition. It had all the reason to believe it should be, but it just panned out like crap. Things are different now. Now, things are turned now. Maybe DC gets to be the company that's putting out good movies that people are interested in. They bring the casuals in, and Marvel's the company that's like people will eventually say this. Man, I wish Marvel could get back to being like this. That's gonna really sting if that really happens. So the reason why I want Superman to beat Fantastic Four is because I want Marvel to look at that and go, "Hey, you guys be doing something like this. You guys are doing it all wrong. Whatever you're doing is fucked completely. Let's like change it up now." Because I know the reason I know they're not is because the Avengers movies are coming out and they're gonna make a lot of money. They're gonna go, "Whoa, it's still working, right?" Even though those are just fucking, what's it, exemptions to the rule or whatever that saying is.
Well, here's something too. I was if Superman does good, and then it's going to take more than just Superman doing good to really shock everybody. So let's say Superman does really good, and then the Supergirl's really good, and Clayface is good, and the Green Lantern series is good, and it just starts cascading. And Marvel, I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but one of the leaked rumors was that in Avengers Doomsday, just to afford the cast was $250 million. That the budget of the film could be up to like $500 million. If that is true, the movie's going to have to make $2 billion to be considered a success. I seriously think that if Superman is good and Avengers bombs, Kevin Feige's done. Or if Fantastic Four bombs, Superman does good, and the budget for Avengers is ballooning true, we might not even get to see Avengers Doomsday. They might cancel it, and they might fire Feige and do a reboot by the end of this year. It's hard to say that to happen, though, because Spider-Man is still going. And there's rumors that I think Hulk is going to be in Spider-Man. I heard that. I also heard Daredevil, Punisher, and possibly Fisk. So that might keep it going. But I could seriously see a DC-style reboot at Marvel if Superman does good.
That's why people keep like basically hinting at the Secret Wars is going to be that for them. Good. Like they've needed it forever at this point, but I'm still going to hold my breath given their recent things that they've been doing. People seen the White Panther thing. We'll talk about that probably like next week. Holy fucking hell. I'll say this right now, not going into that fully because this is the Superman topic, but where's all those people at where they said, race doesn't matter, just as a fictional character? Eat my ass. Fuck you.
It's a symbol. What do you care about?
It's just a mantle. Why are you? We got a problem with black. Got a problem with white people? See?
I thought that was a fake article. I thought that was an AI
too.
image.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing it more and more, and I was like, what in the hell is Marvel thinking? Like, oh, you guys think we're woke? We'll show you. Boom, White Panther. Like, whoa.
Because we always said, would you keep the same energy if they race swap Black Panther? People were like, but you can't do it based off nonsensical bullshit. It was always them deflecting. It's like that argument where they know they have no actual position, but they have to give you the most robot NPC response. They know it's wrong, but it's just them bullshitting.
Well, another thing too is if it's T'Challa's son, that means he's only half white. And so, I mean, it's the kid's mulatto. So the poor kid's now just being called white. I mean, that's just kind of rude.
Yeah.
And, oh well, we got Hunter Iggy.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
We're
I
gonna go
can
over that
see it.
right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can see that. That's probably where it's going to end up, is somewhere between 700 and a billion. High end
Could be.
950.
Yeah.
Somewhere around
If it
there.
hits what Deadpool and Wolverine did last year, oh god, Warner Brothers won't stop bragging about that. And that's how you know when certain movies actually are profitable and good for them, is when they'll brag about it nonstop. They could not stop bragging about Barbie being their highest grossing movie ever.
Yeah,
They didn't stop because it actually made money for them. You know what's crazy is that studios don't have to make excuses for movies that flop. They'll just basically show you with their actions they're not flopping. But, they leave that for shills. Can Warner's DC Studios rise from the ashes with Superman? Analysis. James Gunn's reboot not only aims to restart the entire DC universe, but is one of Warner Brothers' most crucial releases of the year. All right, let's get into this long analysis, or you can say analysis. Joking. That'd be a porn star wife that I have who loves it in the ass. When Superman hits theaters on July 11th, more than just the future of the DC superhero wing hangs in the balance. The opening salvo in a rebooted approach to an interconnected DC universe, Superman, represents a make or break moment for Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav's strategy to leverage DC's intellectual property after previous Warner regimes struggled for years to build a cohesive cinematic universe that connected with global audiences. People forget, it wasn't being called Superman initially before. It was called Superman Legacy. But it's actually a fun fact. We never actually had a Superman movie just called Superman. It was always Superman the movie, Superman Returns, his nickname, which is Man of Steel. It's nice to finally have him, called a movie called Superman, like Jesus Christ. The litmus test will be whether director and DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn's film will generate enough box office to keep his head and co-CEO Peter Safran's ambitious 10-year plan for DC Studios on track. This is what DC fans were asking for a long time ago when Zack Snyder was the pseudo Kevin Feige, which was basically, hey, can we have someone in charge that has a plan? And keep in mind, if this person's plan fails and it sucks ass, I'd rather have that than random shit being thrown out there hoping that fucking something sticks. I just rather have that if you're just gonna ask me, because it was so cringe to have DC fans going like, but Marvel, they would praise Marvel for having interconnected universe, but then go like, but will we ever get movies like the Batman again? Yeah, because that's did so much for DC, just having random movies come out. Like, what? Keep in mind, DC, the animated universe you guys all know and love, started with Batman animated series, Superman animated series, then it went to Static Shock, then it went to Justice League. Yeah, they, guess what? They built it up. They all team up with Justice League. You like that, right? I don't get why they were arguing against having an interconnected universe. This is stupid. What? The best stuff you like was interconnected. And they were like, but like Marvel, it interconnects too much. Yeah, there's a problem with interconnectivity if you don't do it good. But to just not have it interconnected is stupid.
Yeah, Marvel's problem was not too much interconnectivity. The problem was bad writing.
Yeah,
They got shitty writers, and sometimes they even care about writing. And to do an interconnected universe correctly, you have to have a lot of pre-planning. It takes a lot to organize that, and they just stopped organizing that ever since Endgame.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. It was like, I just don't get why people were batting for that crappy DCEU the way it was built. That was terrible. No one liked that, and the box office showed in each movie progressively just got worse and worse. With a $225 million budget, Superman needs to cross the $700 million threshold at the global box office to be considered a success. Now, this is where the wording gets a little trickier for a lot of people. To be considered a success. That doesn't mean that it is a success if it hits that number. You guys understand that, though? I can consider something a success, but other people could go, well, you didn't hit this kind of milestone, so it doesn't really matter. That's like a sports analogy. So like the New York Knicks made the Eastern Conference Finals, but the New York Knicks just let go of their head coach, Tom, for not getting to the finals. You see that? Fans could consider getting to the Eastern Conference Finals a success, but to the org, not winning a trophy is that.
Warner Brothers might be
success.
like, if this film doesn't make $1 billion, we're not happy.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then that's the success line for it. We don't know. But
Right.
yeah, I agree with this though, that if it does anything under 700 million, there's no one can consider it a success.
That's true. And
There's
keep in mind,
no one's going to be able
this
to.
is not even counting marketing, so we know that's going to have $100 million marketing tag to it, at least $100 million attached to it.
Yeah.
So, but as $100 million marketing attached to it, that would actually have to make this. That would need to be at least 850, 900 at that point.
That's about right, because it would be 325. So then that would be 650 would be double that. So 700 million would be, you would be more than breaking even. So you could start considering it a success after that.
Yeah, so you need about at least $850, $900 million. Yep.
Yeah.
According to a top talent agent who spoke to the Wrap but wished to remain anonymous, says, and I quote, "While release dates are important, I don't think the challenge is Jurassic World Rebirth or any other film." The agent said of the film's summer competition, the challenge is almost entirely a question of if Superman resonates with today's audience, did they successfully update an Eisenhower era character to the 2025 Gen Z audience can identify with. Whoever said that, to be anonymous, this is the reason why you guys keep failing. Stop trying to identify with today's audience. They don't even go watch your movies. This just needs to appeal to people. This needs to give people a hopeful, optimistic, bright Superman, and then they'll like it.
Yeah.
Gen Z kids, as it reported, are literally on their phones most of the time when they're watching a movie. They're not even paying attention. That shouldn't even be your target at all. That should be like a fucking, who gives a fuck if what they think, honestly. You want this movie to be attractive to mostly men of the ages between 18 to 65, people that are comic book fans, people that are casuals that just like this character and want to see him succeed. That's it. Gen Z shouldn't even be a fucking thought in the wind, honestly. The stakes couldn't be higher. The company is still carrying $37 billion in debt from the 2022 Discovery's Warner Media merger, making Superman's performance critical to Zaslav's use of franchise IP to drive both theatrical and streaming revenue. It's one of many IP pillars he reignited after the merger, along with HBO's upcoming Harry Potter series and a new Lord of the Rings film. Well, that new Lord of the Rings film actually just fucking tanked at the box office. That animated one.
Well, I think they're talking about rebooting the franchise. Also.
Like War of the Rohirrim. And they're having another.
That one was not good.
And they're having that Golem one come out, I think, next year, or 2027.
Yeah.
Harry Potter, you have a TV series for that. Because I remember he had that interview a long time ago, that earnings call, where he highlighted his most important franchises, which he said was Lord of the Rings, DC stuff, and Harry Potter. He also acknowledged Shark Week was really valuable. I remember that, David Zaza. You highlighted Shark Week as one of your most valuable assets. And Shark Week is very, very big on TV still to this day. It's like
Rings of Power was a failure. The Harry Potter series is already kind of causing a lot of drama.
Oh, the Fantastic Beasts series, they stopped that. People didn't want any more of those movies.
So it'll be this.
Keep in mind, Rings of Power's not there. That's Amazon. So
they need a win. So they need something. They need to go good with this. It has to be more than just this movie. But this movie needs to be $1 billion movie. That's what Warner Brothers wants.
Yeah.
They want it to be $1 billion movie that they can and they can start showing, like, if they can build up that good faith that Marvel had during the pre-Endgame era, where people were watching movies whether it was good or not. Like people like even Captain Marvel was making lots of money, even though it was a garbage film.
That's one of the most luckiest movies to ever exist. That is just luck on every level.
Because right now Marvel's facing, we can make good movies, but people aren't watching them because we made so many bad movies. Mm-hmm. So Fantastic Four is, it's a very important film, especially with moving back Doomsday, because the Avengers movie is what, 2027 now. There
Yeah,
are no
2026,
Marvel
2027, yeah.
Studio films between now
Until
and
the end of next year, because Doomsday got delayed until the end of next year. So that means that I think the only reason why they did it, two reasons, because they had to start, really working on, okay, what are we gonna do with this movie? The second thing is that holiday season. It comes out during Christmas week. Now,
yeah,
that could ultimately save their butts with what it would have done if you released it earlier, but I digress.
no competition during that time period.
If that movie
You
fails
know?
in that time period, burn your whole studio to the fucking ground, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, and that's a long time period with nothing coming out when these films need to be very important. They have nothing building up the film except for the Spider-Man film, but that's Sony. So no Marvel Studio movies between Fantastic Four next month and Doomsday in 2027, December of 2027. That is a long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's Marvel's in kind of a Disney itself is in kind of a spot right now. They better hope Mandalorian's good because they're
Oh, Miss
just
Sparkles isn't watching that. That's the inside joke, guys.
Disney's gonna be owned by Apple if they keep this shit up.
Oh, good lord. In short, Superman is a major test, not just for the superhero genre, but Zaslav's vision for Warner Brothers as a whole. The $700 million threshold. The studio itself seems confident. According to one insider, if Superman grosses anything north of $500 million worldwide, the film will turn a profit at the box office, not inclusive of ancillary revenues. They just mean fucking marketing.
Ancillary and
Why can't you do this to say marketing? Jesus Christ. Holy, you're so smart, Umberto. You just wrote ancillary. So smart. But that's not. I don't hate the rap guys. I don't, even though they've made some bullshit articles in the years past. That's not a success. That's not profit. I want you guys to understand. If the movie takes in $500 million when it's done, that's not profit. They debatably broke even. That's just a flat lie. I don't believe that. In the court of public opinion, however, it will need to gross closer to $700 million to be considered a hit. Yes, in that opinion, we are right, because we are not chills like you, Umberto. You fucking moron. Henry Cavill's previous outings as Superman, the Zack Snyder directed Man of Steel, which made $670 million worldwide, and the team-up movie that followed Batman vs. Superman, which cracked $874 million, provide the baseline, but neither film managed to spark universe-building success. Also, fun fact, BVS and Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 2 are the biggest openings they've ever had. That's crazy to think about, right? The ending of one franchise and the death of another. Mic drop. Exit the room. The simple brand recognition of Superman will probably take them to or close to $500 million worldwide, but anything above that will be because the audience identifies with the title character, the talent. Yeah. Characters like Superman, given their threshold, you're going to get a big audience just because that name just carries so much gravitas to it. And that movie is going to have insane word of mouth for years to come. If that movie is anything not memorable or not rewatchable, that's going to be not good, because the Superman movie, there's a lot of expectations there, obviously. The film is a true reboot of the property, written and directed by Gunn, who also serves as the co-CEO of DC Studios with his longtime manager and producers, Peter Safran. David Cornsweet, a 31-year-old actor whose biggest film role to date was in last year's Twisters, opposite Glenn Powell, who's butt-fucking Sydney Sweeney, fills the title role, while Emmy-winning marvelous Miss Maisel actress Rachel Brosnan, what a name this lady has, plays Lois Lane, and Nicholas Hoult as the villainous Lex Luthor. If you guys remember Beast from the Fox X-Men movies, yep, Beast, that guy, is Lex Luthor now. Looks a lot better as Lex Luthor than Jesse Eisenberg. Holy crap.
He looks pretty slick as Luthor.
I hope Rachel Brosnahan can play a better Lois Lane. Amy Adams, well, looks very, very hot. Very beautiful.
I liked her in the trailer where they're having the interview where she's interviewing him as Superman.
And then anything else after that was terrible.
Yeah, I liked her. I liked how her interaction with him on that. So, and they showed a little behind the scenes thing. They showed a clip from the movie, and she makes fun of Guy Gardner's hair So that was pretty funny too. She said your hair should be against your vows, and she's like angrily walking away from him.
It's a young cast, and while the stars are far from unknowns, the ensemble doesn't have an A-list ringer that is sometimes used to entice audiences, such as Gene Hackman and Marlon Brando in the original 1978 Superman. I will say this. I don't disagree with this point, but given how the movie landscape is now, just because you have an A-list actor doesn't mean it's going to do well for movies. I mean,
No.
you guys, hundreds of movies that have come out in recent memory, they had A-list talent that didn't make an impact at all. That kind of argument is going to be null and void very soon. Like, guys, The Rock, the biggest movie star in the world, couldn't make Black Adam $500 million at the worldwide box office back when it dropped in 2022. The Rock is the biggest movie star in the world, okay? Star power doesn't really have that kind of sway like it used to. That's unless you're literally fucking Tom Cruise or Denzel Washington.
Well, plus
That don't
it's
matter
hard
anymore.
to get star power to stick around for 8 movies. Sometimes
Oh, yeah.
you got to pay him a lot to do that. So
This is Superman all in film. I would say this. For me, I love my boy. This is my boy. I love Superman. My second favorite superhero of all time. Batman being my favorite. The original, always a classic. One of my favorite super movies ever made, obviously, especially for the time period. It looks kind of goofy going back and rewatching it, but it definitely the themes and the message and fucking
what his
Christopher Reeves playing
portrayal of
Superman,
Clark Kent and Superman
so
was
good.
no one's got even close to it yet,
The
except for
only person that I feel like matched it was Tyler Hoechlin in Superman.
yeah. I was going to say the same thing.
Only person who got it. Yeah.
He's even in this list, sadly overlooked Superman portrayal. He was, we got an amazing Superman TV series, and that does not get enough credit as it deserves.
Yeah. Brandon Routh. I think he was the right cast for Superman, but the way he was written in that movie just sucked. As you guys know, Henry Cavill to me is overrated as fuck. He's just so overrated. I don't think he's garbage. People think when I say he's, no, I don't think he's good. Like, in my opinion, if you're gonna rank him based off a lot, like even the voice actors of Superman, it's hard to rank voice actors compared to live action actors. I would say you got Christopher Reeve, Tyler Hoechlin, Tom Welling, Brandon Routh, and then you would probably have Henry Cavill's probably going to be 6 when we're factoring in what David Cornsweet can do. And I'm looking at the trailers and I'm going, David Cornsweet probably has it as Superman. I don't know, but
yeah, Cornsweet's looking pretty good.
Oh, unless you count Dean Cain. I never watched Dean Cain stuff. People think I hate. I can't judge something I haven't watched, so I can't rank him if I haven't watched it. I'm not saying he was bad, but
he wasn't terrible, but it was also kind of like that '90s TV show, so it didn't really have much for special effects. And
why is my boy Tim Daly not getting no love? Like everyone that loves Superman from my era grew up with the voice actors of Superman in the Justice League Unlimited, Justice League animated series, and Superman animated series.
Yeah.
Superman. Oh my God, Superman.
Tim Daly was my favorite. I love it because I remember that whole. I used to, as a kid, watch the Adventures of Superman and then the Batman TV series.
Yeah, it was George Newbern who was Justice League Unlimited. Yeah, did a fantastic job for the character. Oh my God, these guys were killing it back then. The voice actor who did it for Superman versus the Elite Four, very, very good job there. That's probably one of the best Superman movies they've created animated wise. Superman movies, Man of Tomorrow, that was in the Tomorrowverse. That's like their best movie. That Superman movie was so damn good. Tomorrow, go watch Man of Tomorrow. That movie is so damn good. The Stakes, I like mine. Well done. Superman is the. I'm doing this pineapple on pizza thing here again. Oh my God.
I will defend it to death.
You're gonna have fucking AIDS or something. Superman is the first film in a 10-year plan of interconnected films and TV shows that Gunn and Safran have planned to rival Marvel's MCU. Because it's kind of disingenuous that DC fans are going, but like they're not trying to compete with Marvel. Guys, shut up. Yes, they are. What else would they be doing this for? Because they truly want to just throw money in a fire pit? One they laid out when they first took over as co-CEOs of VC Studios at the behest of Zaslav in 2022. The rub, of course, is that Gunn is not just the co-head of this entire DC universe, but also directly responsible for the film. And if Superman underperforms, the larger plans face significant challenges. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, directed by the journeyman filmmaker Craig Giuseppe, and slated for the release in 2026, is the only other DC movie currently guaranteed, as it completed production earlier this year. Keep in mind, that's a book written by Tom King. Keep in mind, I haven't read it yet, and we will eventually go through it for the movie. Tom King is one of the advisors for the universe. I haven't read his stuff, but whatever, it's very divisive. So keep in mind, James Gunn also allowed that bitch who wrote Birds of Prey to be here too, Christina Hodson. Whew. Trash. Keep in mind, James Gunn has weird taste, and he prefers Damian Wayne and Guy Gardner for his Green Lantern. And all the motherfuckers got weird taste. Holy crap. Given the previous DC EU's commercial shortcomings, that's an understatement. You mean fucking failures. And underwhelming results for the 2023 release. No, for the entirety of its existence, it was a failure. But then again, I'll play nice. The Flash, DC Studios appears to be taking a cautious approach to expanding beyond Batman. Outside of anything Batman related, DC will most likely wait to react to how Superman performs before deciding on which superhero from their library to tackle next. The Insider told The Wrap, greenlighting Supergirl may seem risky, but it extends the new universe they're trying to establish, and it shows a commitment to the larger brand. Supergirl can have pulled just because people know her because of Superman. Supergirl is known. That's a pretty decently known character amongst casuals. So that's not what my argument when it comes to Marvel when they do this is they're choosing characters that comic book fans would find fucking nothing burgers, and they think that casuals would definitely don't know who the fuck they are, think that they can just make big live action movies out of these characters and go, hey, I invested $200 million into a fucking, I don't know, a Baron Zemo movie. Why no one watch? You surprised? Come on. I will say this, and keep in mind, people don't like it when I use this argument, but I always use this argument. I don't care if they only use big characters. Why? Because if it makes money, and that's the only thing that's making money, keep in mind, people went to watch the Bulls because Michael Jordan played. People went to watch the Lakers because Kobe Bryant played. People watched the Cavs because LeBron was playing, or the Heat or whatever. Yeah, people want to go see the star players. Yeah, I'm not trying to see a bunch of bench warmers. Sorry. Get more popular. I don't know. Fucking hell. Get better writers, make those comics better, and then you can get some popularity. Batman, Flash, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman at this point now. All these guys. The big hitters need to have movies first. I'm sorry. It's just how it works. I don't make the fucking rules, but I'd rather not watch a bunch of bench warmers play. I'd rather see the main team play. Sorry.
And use the big ones to support the little ones. Corn Sweats. Let's say the Superman does good, and then Supergirl does good. That brings in Lobo. So that'll be interesting. We don't know which characters are going to hit off from the Superman movie if it does do good. So we might see Hawk Girl spin off into a movie, or we might see, we're already going to see Guy Gardner in the Lantern series, as well as Guy Gardner and Hawk Girl in Peacemaker, and with a debut or with a big special guest. So there's even possibility of seeing Superman in Peacemaker 2. Or they're going to premiere another big person in Peacemaker. So yeah, let those big names support the little names, especially when this gets going. It's one thing Marvel didn't do enough of. Captain America should have showed up in the Black Widow movie, or Hawkeye. There should have been more guest appearances where you could focus still on you could focus on Captain America, but we can have some cool guest appearances and ride-alongs to help boost up and make it bring in more people. So yeah, they should be using the big characters to support the little ones.
Yeah, if you want to have team-up movies like Green Arrow, Green Lantern, maybe take it from that story, Traveling Heroes, Traveling Buddies, do that. They could experiment with duo movies more than Marvel can, in my opinion, because their names will just carry the movie itself just to get people in the door. Keep in mind, you have to get people in the door. If they want to do movies on characters that are obscure, you have to build to that. I'm sorry. It's we're not going to be in that Marvel period they had where they could just take random characters and give them to you guys. And you guys would eat it up. We're not in that time period anymore. We don't have that luxury of money flowing into these movies like it used to be. We have to be realistic with what the situation is. People keep saying these narratives as if like we're in 2012. Like, no, guys, we're not in that narrative. The narratives change. You guys do not watch movies from characters you do not know anything about. It's proven. That's not my opinion. That's factual based off the numbers. Sorry, this is what it is. You do not watch movies based on characters you have no idea who they know. You don't watch characters based off. You don't watch characters for movies you don't know them. You don't know them at all. That's just what it is at this point now. You know, and we know that from Check's notes. Black Adam, Birds of Prey, Blue Beetle. Let's go Marvel. Shang-Chi, Eternals. Okay. Thunderbolts. Guys even watched Sam Wilson, Captain America. That failed. You know? Sergeant Rock film to be directed by Luca Guadagnino. And with Colin Farrell in talks to star, was scrapped in April, further underlying the caution ahead of Superman. I don't think anyone really wanted that, if I'm being honest here. No one knows who that fucking character is, honestly. Another movie, Clayface, secured a fall 2026 release date, but is still undergoing script changes before it moves into production. The Batman Part 2 starts filming in 2026, but that film is outside DC Studios continuity and essentially exists in its own universe. The Insider added Supergirl is a much safer bet than, say, Sergeant Rock. Yeah, gee, you think? Which, despite a good package, is a property with zero awareness in the greater landscape. There are much better superheroes ripe for adaptation in the DC library. Yeah, Green Arrow, Green Lantern. You're doing a show based off lanterns, you know? Hey, I think if you make a different Flash movie and you give people a better Flash actor, I know it'll do well this time around. Don't be scared to do Flash again, please. This careful strategy is not only cognizant of the cooler market for the superhero genre, even Marvel's last two films have failed to crack $500 million, but also reflects lessons learned from the previous Warner's regime's failure. The Snyder DC Extended Universe, the Snyder era DC Extended Universe began with Man of Steel's $670 million worldwide gross in 2013. But Batman vs. Superman suffered a 69% second weekend drop despite a strong $166 million opening, while Wonder Woman was a critical and commercial hit in 2017, taking in $824 million worldwide, and 2018's Aquaman was the first to crack $1 billion. Keep in mind, Wonder Woman solo movie made more than a Batman Superman movie. That goes to show you this universe was already fucking going down a fucking hole of trash. The franchise crashed and burned with the reshoots plagued Justice League, which opened to just $93.1 million domestically and failed to match even Man of Steel with $661 million worldwide. The stewardship of DC has undergone considerable turnover, especially in contrast to the consistency of Marvel under Kevin Feige's leadership. Greg Silverman served as president of creative development and worldwide production at Warner Brothers and launched the DCEU with 2013's Man of Steel. He also oversaw Batman vs. Superman before being ousted at the end of 2016. John Berg and Jeff Johns then took over and launched DC Films in May of 2016, overseeing the launch of Wonder Woman, the DCEU's top domestic grosser at $413 million. Following the failure of Justice League, Berg stepped down. 6 months later, Jeff Johns followed. Yeah, Jeff Johns wasn't having it. I love how, remember back then they did that little cute little crossover video with him and Kevin Feige? Yeah, people were like, oh, they're crossover. No, they're not. One was like, this is fine. House is burning down. Kevin Feige's like, I'm just raking in billions of dollars right now. In January 2018, Walter Matthau joined DC Films and led the division to the successful film Aquaman, but he left DC Films in October 2022 after Zaslav took over, subsequently tapping Gunn and Safran to run the division. Man, Snyder fans were all over Walter Matthau, if you guys remember. They were blaming him for everything. Yeah, that guy was definitely gone after the way he was treated. Yeah, he was just the fall guy after this whole universe collapsed. Before Gunn and Safran's hiring, Warner Brothers Pictures chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdy briefly tried to get a standalone Henry Cavill-led Superman film going in 2022, with Michael Bay eyed to possibly direct
explosions.
Michael Bay directing a Superman movie. that would either be cinema of cinema or garbage of trash.
It's
I don't
either
even
going to be
want
the
to,
greatest thing ever,
or
or
just the
just the
absolute worst thing to
worst
ever
movie
exist.
ever created.
God, please kill me. According to two insiders, a spokesperson for WB denies this claim. Zaslav resurrected DC operations after the Discovery Warner Media merger, siloing Gunn and Safran from the larger Warner Brothers Picture Group. The duo report directly to Zaslav, not to DeLuca and Abby. This mirrors the successful Marvel. Success in Marvel right now. It's not. This was a cool structure when they were doing good, but not now. This mirrors the successful Marvel Studio structure and represents a complete organizational overhaul from the previous regime. Earlier this month, during the studio's, this is a double D. I want to delete that. Earlier this month, during the studio's first quarter earnings call, Zaslav underlined how critical he sees DC as a pillar of his IP approach. He says, and I quote, "When you look at the major characters that James Gunn and Peter Safran are developing with their 10-year plan around DC, this is to build asset value for us globally, everywhere in the world. Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, Supergirl," he said. We look at those as big asset builders and big differentiators. Yeah, he highlighted that these are the most important IPs to them. Supergirl getting elevated to that is so weird because no, why is Green Lantern or Flash not considered that? What? Supergirl? I like Kara. I really do. But like David, Supergirl? Really? Not like Green Lantern or Flash or Green Arrow, you know?
Yeah.
All right, Dev. All right, I guess. The success of Warner Brothers film slate in 2025 so far between a Minecraft movie, Sinners, and Final Destination Bloodlines has likely given Superman something of a cushion when it comes to the company's bottom line. No, it hasn't. That's a stupid. Superman doing well has nothing to do with any of these. You fucking weirdo, dumb fuck. Like, that'll be whatever. I'm not doing this tonight. I'm okay. Breathe, woosah. But as for Zaslav's plans to set the stage for consistent superhero hits from DC Studios, Superman needs to make a great first impression with fans that promises this isn't yet another interconnected DC universe destined to fizzle out. Yeah, I think what Warren said is true. It's going to do. Think about what Venom did back when that movie dropped. It's probably going to do even better than that movie. And then the next movie, depending how Superman is, that'll carry the box office. If you want to look at it as an example. Early signs suggest Superman has overcome one of the DCEU's biggest problems. Good Lord, I had to sneeze there. Audience apathy. The film's DC trailer. Oh my God. Oh, I can't read. I just sneezed there. My whole brain fried. Sorry about that, guys. My whole brain just fucking fried there. Early signs suggest Superman has overcome one of the DCEU's biggest problems, audience apathy. The film's December trailer became the most viewed and the most talked about trailer in the history of both DC and Warner Brothers, according to Gunn, with over 250 million views while generating more than 1 million social posts across various platforms. Yeah, the way the DCEU began with Man of Steel, the BVS audiences hated it. Don't the Snyder Bros fool you. This shit was not liked. This shit was really, really shitted on.
Oh no, the Snyder Bros are a small little whiny group.
They were like, "Oh, the movies did so well." Yeah, the movies they didn't really. I mean, profit-wise is debatable, but we're talking about actual quality of movie. No, people hated those fucking movies, and they were trash. They were trashed on. Maybe I lived in a different time period where every person I talked to had nothing but bad things to say about those movies. Every person I talked to had nothing but horrible things to say about Zack Snyder's Superman movies. The cast and Gunn kick off a month-long global press tour in June that will see them traveling to London, Paris, and Rio de Janeiro before returning stateside. Warner Brothers is pulling out all the stops. The new Superman movie looks like a total return to form for DC, with the new trailer for the film proving to be absolutely epic. Paul D. Garabedian, senior media analyst at Comscore, told The Wrap, "If you look at the number of views that each of these trailers have received on YouTube, you can see that there's a groundswell of interest in the Superman movie. Can it hold, and will it be enough? While most industry insiders are bullish on Superman. The degree of that success will likely determine the future of Gunn and Safran's universe building strategy. We'll find out in July. Also, even in the comics, they're doing this whole big Summer of Superman initiative. He's getting a reprint of his first appearances in the Superman Golden Age omnibus. He got the DC's finest for superhero collection. He's getting a new Treasury edition. He's getting a lot of stuff, man. It's so cool to have him get all this stuff. I fucking love it. I absolutely love it. Give me more Superman stuff. I can't get enough of it, you know? But I'll ask you, man, closing thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is it for DC. They need this to work. I think, but the thing is, though, is that even if it doesn't do incredible, let's say it just does good, that'll be a good momentum in for Supergirl. I think that what I'd like to hear is more about what the plans are for Wonder Woman, Flash. I know Green Lantern. We're going to see Hal Jordan and John in the series. I don't know if Kyle's going to be in it, but I also know. So I know they're building that up, and I think this is going to be a launch for them. The 10-year plan they have will be kind of mirror the success that the Marvel 10-year plan had. I might be a little bit optimistic, but I really think that they're going to pull it off. What the problem is, though, is that eventually it'll fall to what Marvel did, where the better they do, the more chances of studio interference to start happening. We'll see how long James Gunn has control. We'll see how the rest of these output is. We'll see. Right now, he isn't getting much pressure. He's allowed to do what he wants. We'll see if he still gets to do that. But yeah, I think Superman, I got high hopes for it. And I think it's going to be good for DC. I think that we're going to see the DC era of movies starting in June with Superman. I think Marvel
Don't give me that Hawkeye.
Yeah, I think.
Don't give me hope.
I think it is. I think it's going to be the DC era because DC is going to have 2 years of nothing Marvel worth the darn coming out in order to just reign supreme before Avengers Doomsday.
Speaking of apathy, as the article talked about with the DCEU, we're going off just that apathy point,
Yeah.
That's what Marvel fans feel about Marvel now, which is so crazy how things have turned after all these years. When Marvel was in their prime, people were like, damn, I wish DC could have something like this. Years later, after Marvel's kind of blown their load, their prime's over with the MCU. It's changed now. Now who's apathetic at their universe now? Oh, shit. Damn. But for me, yeah, the movie has to take in at least about, if we're going off the budget, which is $225, yeah, it's going to need at least $850 to $900 million to be profitable. That's what it is. But if people think it's going to do $1 billion, or I think it'll do very similar to what the Venom movie did. It's going to make a big splash, and depending on the quality of movie, that'll carry over to the next ones, But that quality of movie has to stick because DC's thing has always been consistency. In that previous universe, you'd watch something really good. The next one would be the worst thing you've ever seen in your entire life. And that's not good. Audiences do not like that, dude. They don't like up and down. And it's the same way my wife does when we have constant sex, honestly. But yeah, looking forward to seeing Superman and can't wait to have it be here. But the whole Summer of Superman is here. So I would say go and read some Superman comic books out there, guys. That would be a good thing for you to brush up on the Man of Steel. Specifically, All-Star Superman, which is what the movie's based on. So you would know like what they changed as far as comic book to movie. So thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, and we're going to sign out, guys. See you guys later. Peace. Wow. I think at some point, but that has to be down the road. That has to be way down the road. This is that's the thing. What the previous universe did. Too fast. Things are coming out too fast. Slow. One step at a time. You can pump out more stuff when you're solidified, but that's not a problem too. Is everything should be analyzed under a fine-tooth comb, because we're not in the same landscape we were 10 years ago where people just flock to the theaters to watch anything. We're not in that time period anymore. We're in a time period of like, I have to make you go to the theater to watch my shit. I have to convince you it's decent enough that you need to go to the theater right now to watch it, But we're going to head out of here in just another minute because I have to get some stuff done before I go to bed for work and take a shower too. So anything you want to say before we head out, actually?
Yeah, this Sunday, catch me here on my YouTube channel at 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard West Coast time for my Lunchbox Comics draw stream. I'll be working on an art piece for my special guest, Miss Sparkles, and we'll be talking about comic books, my process, how I make them along those lines. It should be a fun time. So catch us this Sunday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube.
Yeah, as for me, I know on the comic book channel, I'm a little bit behind on Comic Book Market Watch. I'm gonna get last week's episode recorded tomorrow after my one-on-one, and then I'm gonna try and get this week's episode recorded as ASAP. But I have some videos we've already did. They're gonna already be scheduled to come out. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK Show. After this week, we have crossed 250 episodes. Crazy. But yeah, can't wait to do it all again next week. Same old. But don't worry, I have MSK shows this weekend, actually. Typically, I don't have the MSK show on the weekends. Typically, it's either Cloud9 podcast or I just stream League, but I had some one-on-one scheduled for this weekend. So yeah, we're going to be at 300 episodes very soon. We're not going to celebrate. No celebrations until 500. Nope. We're just putting in work. We're just going to constantly put in work. We're going to put our heads in the sand and just enjoy life. Let's just say that. So, yeah, have a good weekend, everybody.